Hey everyone, we're getting ready to go live. Hello, hello. We're going to have this live streamed. We are going to record. I'm just making sure that everything is loaded up correctly and we are in Facebook before I start recording. Hi everyone. How are you doing? It's so good to see you. We're going to record and we're starting. Let's see. Let me see if we're going here. We should be live. There we are. Okay, now we're all set to go. We're live in Facebook. I can see if anybody has any questions. You can put them on here, but we are going live. So exciting. I'm going to start recording and we are going to get into what we're doing today. Hey everyone, I am so excited. Today is the first day of the anti-diet revolution and we are live. We're live on Facebook, we're live streaming in Zoom. And so everybody that's here, thank you for joining us. Everybody who's listening later on to the live stream, thank you for joining us. This is so good. This is my first time doing it live on Facebook and on Zoom. So this is going to be a fabulous experience. So let me get started. I made a really great PowerPoint for us so that we can have something to go on together. It's like there's so much super important information that we're going to talk about today. And I want to make sure that we are getting it all to you. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is the Anti-Diet Revolution Challenge, Day 1. And I am Kim McLaughlin, your host. I am from feedyoursoulunlimited.com. So welcome. I am a marriage and family therapist, licensed psychotherapist. I am a coach. I am a podcaster with Feed Your Soul with Kim podcast. I'm a best-selling author, speaker, and a former dieter. A dieter for, oh my God, most of my life, starting probably when I was about 10 years old. I recently took a speaking class, or 6 months ago, I took a speaking class where I talked about my dieting history, and it went back far. It went back to 10 years old. So I hope you can see that I qualify. I work with people when they're feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, and overloaded, and it shows up in overeating and emotional eating and feeling bad about themselves and feeling bad about their weight. And that is who I work with. And today, what we're going to talk about is why. First, we're going to start with why do we call it the Anti-Diet Revolution Challenge? That is a big old mouthful. What I find is that at the beginning of the year, there is this push. Actually, this push I saw start back in towards middle of December. The articles or the advertisements started for dieting, about feeling bad about yourself and dieting. And I always start January knowing that this is going to happen. It's expected that there's going to be this push. And then towards the end of January, I like talking about how diets fail us, because for people that I work with that are overwhelmed, overloaded, and frustrated with overeating, what we know is that diets don't work. And we're going to talk about that today. That is what Day 1 is the diet mindset. What gets you caught up in dieting and thinking that it's okay, because it's really a setup. What you're going to expect in this challenge is that we have 4 days of meeting together over the next 4 days. And then next week on Monday, we're going to have a bonus Q&A. And I hope that you're signed up for the challenge and that you're getting the emails, because in the emails you will have a link to the form that I have where you can ask your questions. I know it's really hard for everybody to attend live, so thank you for those of you that are watching live, and also thank you that are watching on the replay, because it's hard to get away from work. It's hard to have the time, and sometimes you want to do this in privacy. So I get all of that, and welcome to all of you. So we're going to meet daily over the next 4 days, and we're going to talk about different ideas about why we want to be anti-dieters, why there's this revolution. And I'm going to challenge you to do something different. Each day you will have a way of looking at food in a different way, looking at diets in a different way. And I don't think it's fair to talk about having an anti-diet revolution without having, what are you going to do? What's your next thing to do? So that's what you can expect, is lots of information, doables, kind of some soul searching about what's worked and what hasn't worked. We're going to be about a half hour every day. The Q&A next Monday might go a little longer if we have a lot of questions. So what to expect is you're going to get a lot of information that's going to be so valuable to look at how to be that anti-diet revolutionary. So today is day 1, and we're talking about diet mindset. If you listen to me on my podcast, Feed Your Soul with Kim, I talk about this a lot. If you go to feedyoursoulunlimited.com, my blog has lots of things about diets, but I want to talk about it again because I don't think we can talk about it too much. I find that even though I have been doing this work for a long time, that diet mindset is so seductive. It's so seductive. And now they use different terms. They use wellness, and they use healthy eating and healthy living and healthy lifestyle. And I was like, wait, what? That can't be a diet. That's healthy. Well, it probably is. So let's talk about and kind of do this introspection that I talked about earlier, about kind of just starting to wonder, how have diets failed you? First, start wondering, how many diets have you been on? Like literally, I haven't counted how many. I probably should do that. And then I'll have to report back to you how many diets I've been on, because what my history is doing the same diet over and over again. Literally, I bought the program 5, 6, 7, 10 times, the exact same program over and over and over again, expecting different results. I did the same program for a year, then I'd stop, and then I'd start back a year or two later, then I'd stop, then I'd start back a year or two later. It was really something that I would just do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, right? The definition of insanity. So first, how many diets have you been on? How often have you lost and then gained that weight back and then some? How often have you been on a diet and you lose weight and then it shows back up? And how do you feel when you diet? These are some basic questions, but what I find from people is that the startup to a diet, the before the diet happens, as you're thinking, you're in that kind of feast mode. Last supper mode is what we call it, where you eat and eat and eat until you know you're going to start the diet the next day. You eat a lot. I'm going in. This is why diets are so seductive beginning January 1. New year, new you. Let's start a diet. Let's get healthy. Let's stop the overeating. We've been binging for the last 3 months over the diet trifecta. We've been eating and eating and eating, and now we're going to pay the price, and we're going to have to diet and take it off. So you eat and eat and eat, and then knowing the next day you're going to diet, which means you restrict. And so you feel good right before you start, or you feel like a little scary, and then you start, and then a little bit of the euphoria starts. That's how it was for me. The first day, the first week, the first couple of weeks, it's euphoria. until I started to feel bad. And then you might feel good because you've lost weight and you feel hot and sexy, and that you get to buy new clothes and everything. And then time goes on and time goes on, and it wears on you and it wears on you. And then you start back overeating. So this is why I say we got to jump off that diet roller coaster. Jump off the diet roller coaster. You were literally brought up to diet. I started when I was 10 years old. I bet if all of you told me when you started, you would say pretty young, right? You'd say that you were young when you started. Or the other thing I hear is that people would tell me after puberty hit, then they started to diet, or after they started having children. That's a main one for women. After you've had children, you then gain weight and gain weight and gain weight. And so what we know is the only thing to do. It's been seen, dieting has been seen as the only solution to overeating, to emotional eating, to body issues or weight issues. And it's the only solution to help you feel good about your body. So we have been brought up to do this. We have also been sold to. If you listen to my podcast, you'll know that I talk in my podcasts a lot about being sold to by the diet industry. If you think about it, the diet industry is an ever-growing industry. I always have to keep looking up what is the latest numbers. What I read recently within the past week, because I did a podcast on this, was 70 billion plus in the US is the diet industry, what they make. And it's going up. Plus means it's going up. So it doesn't make sense to me. If diets really worked, there would be one of them, and it would be consistent, and they wouldn't be a growing industry. To me, a growing industry in the diet industry means it's a failed industry. And I say this because we're having an anti-diet revolution. A revolution means we have to check our mindset, that diet mindset. What we have been trained to do is at the top of this, this is called the diet cycle. We're trained to diet and restrict. You don't feel good about your body, you diet and restrict. And then what happens is after we've dieted and restricted enough, we get bored, life hits, we've got emotions, something happened, and we feel a lot of feelings, and we binge. Because binging is how we've learned how to deal with our emotions, how to deal with upset, how to deal with stress. So we binge. It's one coping mechanism we've used, but we use it a lot to deal with what comes on in life. Also, when we engage in restriction, I can't. There's a moment where we say, I'm going all in, I'm going to have it. There's no kind of balance or blend of how we have just regular eating. And emotions happen sometimes, and maybe we eat a little more and then we don't. And a holiday comes, we eat a little more and then we don't. We don't have that because we're on this diet binge. And then what happens is we feel shame. We feel upset with ourselves. We feel ashamed because maybe our tummy feels upset. Maybe we've gained weight. Maybe we feel bloated. Maybe we've had some doctors tell us that we're too heavy, tell us we're fat. People tell us we're fat. Our clothes get small and we feel ashamed. And the only thing we know how to do after that is to diet and restrict. We go back up to the top of the cycle and we diet and restrict because this is all we know how to do. And it then becomes that same old cycle over and over and over again. Diet and restrict. Life happens, things happen. We don't know how to deal with it. The only way we know is we binge. Binging, it tastes good. Food tastes good. It makes total sense to me that you would use food as a way to manage emotions, to deal with life, because it tastes good. For the time you eat, for there's moment, you feel good until you don't. And that's when that shame shows up. And we feel ashamed and bad and upset. And the only thing we know how to do is to diet and restrict. Okay, you get the idea. Notice how you fall in this diet, restrict, binge, shame cycle. Notice how you fall into that, and just see how that works for you or doesn't work for you. So what we're going to do over these days that we're together in our challenge is we're going to start looking at a radical way to imagine our relationship with food. You haven't been offered a different way to deal with food. It's always diet. It's always that. And I promise you, this is not a diet. I won't tell you what to eat. I won't tell you how much to eat. We're going to look at food in a different way, in a more functional way. So when I say jump off the diet roller coaster, engage in anti-diet, you need to have something to do, because it's like, I don't want you out there hanging. So what we're going to do is look at ways to feel empowered with food. Wouldn't that be good? Feel empowered with food. To know what your right food is. There are certain foods that make you feel good, that make your body feel good. Yours are different than mine. But knowing what right foods is really helpful. Focus on food satisfaction rather than deprivation. Food tastes good. What I know is when I was on a diet, oh my God, the food tasted horrible. I remember there was one nutritionist I work with that talked to me about, she was going to literally come to my house and train me how to cook vegetables without any oil. And I thought, this is crazy. Oil tastes good. The right oil is good for your body. Why would I cook vegetables without oil? It makes them taste good. I want food satisfaction. When I'm in deprivation, then I want to binge, right? Because I say, oh, I just want something that's yummy. I want something that's tasty. So we're looking at food satisfaction. And then the other way we're going to offer to look at it differently is to see diets for what they are and how they keep you in that diet, binge, shame, diet cycle. Because as I've said before, we've gotten sold to about how we're supposed to manage food, and we're supposed to restrict, and we're not supposed to eat bad foods. And the thing that I talk about a lot is that there's no good foods and bad foods. And also I want to tell you, we're really skimming the surface on what this all is about. I have a whole program where we talk about food, how to look at food differently, how to literally come to the table differently. And in Emotional Eating Solutions, we go to this more in depth. What we're going to do is we're going to take more of an overview, not superficial, but an overview of some of these ideas. So you literally every day at the end of this challenge, you can start doing something differently and start imagining life in a different way. So when we're talking today about the mindset, I always like to get into action. There's only so much that we can do if we are just thinking about it. I'm going to contemplate it. I'm going to think about it. We got to have some doables. Because then we don't just think about it, we're in action. So today, what I want to encourage you to do is to start thinking about dieting for yourself. And I encourage you to journal. Those of you that are getting the newsletter, the email about this, you'll get this in a PDF. Anybody who hasn't signed up for this, because we're live streaming in our Feed Your Soul community, if you haven't signed up to get the daily emails, sign up for it, because I have a PDF that will have all of these. And these are journal questions for you to take and to just consider for yourself. If you don't get the PDF, just write these down in your journal and start wondering, how many diets have you been on? And I'm going to do that tonight. I'm going to look back and see how many, because there were quite a few. But one that I did over and over and over and over again. How many diets have you been on? And start looking at what they've done for you and haven't done for you. How often have you lost and gained the weight back? I remember for one of my diet, the diet that I went on over and over and over again, they had little cards that you'd keep track of the date and the weight. And then you could keep track each time whether you gained or lost. And I got to say, maybe a year or two ago, I found one of those cards, and I still have some of the numbers etched in my brain, and the shame that I felt of, well, the beginning, the euphoria. Oh yeah, I lost weight, until I stopped losing weight, or I didn't lose as much as I thought I should, or I didn't lose as much as everybody else in the room. And it felt really bad. And I remember looking at that card, feeling shame for, ugh, God, I remember the burden that it felt like, to have that card and to look every week. And really the only day I felt happy was the day I lost a certain amount of weight. Losing a quarter pound wasn't enough. Like, that was not a good day. It's like, I should have lost more. Keeping it the same, that wasn't okay. I should have lost more. So it was an absolute, it was a thing that happened. I was going to say a bad word and my mind was challenged with having those, and it was frustrating. It felt super frustrating. The other thing I want you to look at is, how do you feel on a diet? Because like I told you in the beginning, moving up to a diet, it's a little exciting, and you eat all the foods that you're not going to eat once you start the diet. And then the first week or two, there's this euphoria of, oh, the diet euphoria. Oh, it feels so good. It feels so good. I'm losing weight, until you don't, until you feel deprived, until something is going on that doesn't fit real well in your life. And so I really recommend that you start journaling on these, get it out of your head and put it in writing. And how do you feel about your body before you diet? How do you feel about your body when you're dieting? And how do you feel about your body when the diet isn't working? Because that's the other challenge, that we begin to feel ashamed about our body and feel upset about what's going on with us. So this is the doable today. Like I said, I will have a PDF for you to start looking at that diet mindset for yourself. And I really encourage you to do it and get it out of your head and onto paper. So when we look at all these things, I got to give you some solutions of places to start. So as we go through this day by day, you might start thinking, Kim, I'm not liking the way I handle food. I don't like all these diets. I don't like what's going on. And I want to start giving you solutions, because we're going to skim the surface. We're going to start talking about some things that will have some profound impact. I promise you, going through that questionnaire about dieting will have a profound impact upon you, and will lead you in a direction that will be totally different than you thought about yesterday. So do these exercises so that you have this different impact. Emotional eating solutions is a way for you to start thinking about what you can do to help yourself. It's our signature program where we help you move out of overeating and dieting and move into a place of peace with food, which I know is what people want. So we'll be talking about this more every day. You can see the link there. You can go look and see. It's an 8-week do-it-yourself course. We have monthly Q&A calls with me where you get to ask me your questions and get to figure out your relationship with food and what you can do differently. Because what happens is that when we only know diets is the way to manage food or control food, and we want to move into peace with food, we need something totally different. And you need the support to make that happen. So there's more for you. We're moving out of dieting mindset tomorrow. And oh my gosh, I just did all the slides earlier. I relooked at the slides. The slides for intuitive eating are going to be stellar. Tuesday, the 31st of January at 1 p.m. Pacific, we're going to talk about intuitive eating. That really is the foundation of all that we do. It is the foundation. Intuitive eating is the foundation. It is the way that you will move out of the dieting. And intuitive eating is a proven method. It has been researched. The founders of intuitive eating are actually in the New York Times right now. I'll have to link their article because they're extraordinary. and then Wednesday, the 1st, we're going to move into food freedom. How do you start having food freedom? And we're going to look at some ideas around emotions, those emotions that show up that take us off course with food. Then on Thursday, the 2nd at 12 o'clock, just notice the days, the timing changes a little bit due to my schedule. And I was hoping it could hit more people at different times during the day. Thursday, the 2nd, we're going to have a focus on self-care. What I talk about with people is that when we're overeating and binging, that's our self-care, and our regular, what we should use as self-care is way down here. We want to move overeating down as we move up the self-care. So as we talk about food and intuitive eating and food freedom, we got to have some self-care. You've got to have strategic, practical things that we know work, or we're going to know work for you, because everybody is different. And that's what we're doing on Thursday. Then next Monday, a week from today, because you're going to have time during the week, every day you're going to have some doables. And I want you to do those doables all weekend. And then we're going to come back on Monday and have our bonus Q&A. If all goes according to plan, if you come on Zoom, I should be able to help you come live and ask it live, or you can ask it in, I have a link to a Google Doc where you can ask your questions if you can't be live, or if you're embarrassed to be on camera. I get it. So you can ask it, or you can actually ask it in the chat. So on Monday, we're going to have a bonus Q&A. We'll go up to an hour with all of your questions. I know people often have a lot of questions about this, and so we'll just go in and answer your questions. And so that's a bonus Q&A next week. If you're feeling like you really want to get started, go to Feed Your Soul Unlimited. Let's see back. Emotional Eating Solutions Self-Study. You can get started now. I am going to add a bonus, and I have some bonuses in mind. So we're going to bonus people that buy Intuitive Eating Solutions, the self-study, over this time that we have this anti-diet revolution challenge going. We're going to do some bonuses. So I have some ideas in my head. I just haven't quite decided. So look forward to having some bonuses for people who buy in now. What we're going to be doing with Emotional Eating Solutions is that we're actually going to have a live round starting in March. I haven't done it live for a couple of years, so we're going to have it live. So all of you that join in now can get started now, and you can join in when we have the live round coming in March. It's going to be fabulous, and we'll give you a different way of looking at food. So go ahead and sign up now, because get in on all the goodness and get started on doing something different with food. So here's the next 4 days. That'll be in your email also. I want to thank you for joining us. We've just hit our half-hour mark, which was my commitment to all of you. It's a lot of information in up to a half hour, because I don't know about you, but I really like the half-hour mark, because I have time. I can do it during my lunchtime. I can do it when I am just have a little downtime. So I want to thank you for joining us. Those of you that are on live on the Zoom live, and those of you on Facebook Live, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'd love to know what your takeaways are. You can email me at info@feedyoursoulunlimited.com. You can direct message me in Facebook on the Feed Your Soul community. Direct message me and let me know what your takeaways are. If you have any questions, let me know. Where are you at? What's going on for you? I want to hear from you, because this is important. It's important work that we're doing here. These are important questions. So I encourage you to do your journaling, talking about diet mindset. Let me know what's coming up for you. Let me know what you're thinking. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. We're going to meet tomorrow at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. And let me get out of this sharing mode. And thank you. Thank you all. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Bye now.